Hey guys, thanks for checking out the A1 Trend Scanner. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the 2.0 version of this software, which adds a whole load of features and customization abilities to the A1 Trend Scanner. This thing is really, really cool, and we're really excited to be releasing this to the public. Now, the first thing I want to say about this thing is what is it and who is it built for? Well, it is a panel that adds to your Mt4 platform. You just drag and drop it into your indicators folder, and bam, you can put it on your charts anytime you would like, and you'll see that it watches up to 30 charts at the same time and scans them for trend strength and potential buy or sell signals. Now, that by itself is really cool, but it also gives you the ability to actually customize anything that you see here. You can change what RSI period it is looking at. You can look at the moving averages that it's using to decipher the trend, and I'm going to talk about all of this stuff in more detail once we talk about sort of what the actual software is looking for when producing a signal, which I'll get to later on in the video. But like I mentioned, if you go to the indicator itself, you can actually adjust this thing to any symbols that you want. So let's say that you trade US 30 or gold, or you trade GBP JPY or something, and you would like to change this list of currencies. All you have to do is go into the indicator settings, change them accordingly, and hit OK, and they'll be added to your watch list here. So again, this sits on one chart, and by any click of the button, I can go take a look at any of these symbols. You can see I'm just changing them just by clicking whatever I am looking at, which is awesome. So you have the ability to sort of manipulate or change your chart just from Mt4, which I think by itself is a huge perk. Now, this is not necessarily just for swing traders or for day traders. It's actually for both. If you trade this on the 15-minute chart, you can see it produces a whole new list of things to look at. For example, it's telling us that we could take a look at NZD-CHF is bullish here on the lower time frames. There may be some trend following setups that could come up, here, for example, is Euro-CHF, which is saying that yes, it is trending to the upside. You can see it's got the bullish trend filter here, but also it's producing a buy signal, and there may be opportunities to look for pullback plays, looking for upside on the euro against the Swiss franc. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the logic as to, how to actually understand what this thing is producing. One thing I also like about it is that if you don't want it on your chart, you want to minimize it, you can do that as well. Take it out of the way and then, bring it back whenever you're ready for it. So what is this thing actually looking for? Well, this thing is a trend scanner. So what that means is it's looking for strong trends, and it's also looking for pullbacks in those trends. So if you're like me, I created this tool basically off of my own trading principles, which is I like to look for trending markets that are strong to the up or downside, and then look for pullbacks and not have to spend so long looking for those setups by flipping chart after chart after chart to actually try and find pullback setups. So what this thing does is it sort of automates that process. So if I look at, for example, the 4-hour chart, let's look at the 4-hour chart here for a moment, and we can see all of these categories and things. Like I said, you've got up to 30 symbols that can be watched at the same time, but then you've also got two extra categories. You've got the trend category and the signal category. So what does each one of this actually mean? Well, here's the first thing you should know. So the first thing it does is it looks for a strong trend on any of the markets that you assign it to watch. It uses 3 moving averages for that. So I have it by default at the 50, the 100, and the 200. You can feel free to change those just by clicking and changing them. Again, you just click here, type your new new number, and it will alert you of possible setups on those parameters. So that's the first thing I want to point out. And then it's going to show you all these different readings based on the trend. So for example, if I look at dollar CAD right now, it's telling us that we have a bullish trend on the dollar CAD and that things are looking overall like a strong upward movement. And what you'll notice is that what it's looking for here, for a strong bullish trend, it's going to take your 3 moving averages, your 50, your 100, and your 200, and it's going to say, hey, are all 3 of them lining up? That's the first question mark. Are they all 3 lining up? If so, this is considered a strong bullish trend. And I don't know about you, but for me as a trend trader, this is the sort of thing that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a strong market headed in one direction, and looking like the most likely, solution is that it's probably going to keep going in that direction. That's the first thing that I'm looking for. The next thing I'm looking for is a pullback, and this is where the signal comes in. So if we look at Euro USD here, we'll switch over to the Euro and we just go to the most latest data. What you'll notice is that, okay, yes, this thing is in a bearish trend, but not only is it bearish trend, we don't, for me in my trading, I don't want to be selling down here. I'd much rather be selling pullbacks like we saw right here and how we possibly see it lining up right now. So what I mean by that is that you can see that it is producing a signal on top of the bearish trend. So again, Euro USD, we can zoom in here and we can take a look. So Euro USD is bearish on the trend and also producing a sell signal, meaning that we have seen two things now. The trend is to the downside, number one, but number two, we also have a pullback reading here on this indicator. And how is it using that, or how is it determining that? Well, it's using the RSI period 7 and using a 70 and a 30 overbought and oversold reading. So what that means is that down here on the bottom of the screen, you can see the RSI here. This is by default for me a 7 period, but you can change it to anything you like. If you like 14 or whatever, you can change them accordingly. So the 7 period RSI is printing that it is actually reaching a overbought status and the trend is down. Those two things combined produce the signal that you see here on the indicator. So you can see that it is producing not just a bearish trend, but also a sell signal. To put it in context, for example, we could take a look at GBP CHF. This thing is bearish, but it hasn't quite pulled back enough to give a reading to the indicator that we actually could consider looking for sell setups, which for me adds a level of clarity and also time, savings, because you're not just going to be looking at things like this where, okay, yes, the trend is bearish, but it's not ready for me to look at, right? For me, what's more interesting is, okay, show me something that is bearish like NZD-JPY that is also looking possibly ready for a pullback sell. For example, we could also take a look at XAU-USD. We could take a look at GBP CHF, and you can start to see, here's Euro CHF, which doesn't have a clear trend just yet. But then you can go, again, like I said, this is built for multiple time frame analysis. So for example, if you want to look at GJ, we zoom to the most latest, GJ is in a sell trend, but is not quite poking up into a reading. It actually was on the previous bar, but not currently. So it printed a sell signal right around here. So, we'll see, like I said, how that plays out. But the main point of this is to look for trend trading setups that are not only in a strong trend, but also pulling back, and to give you that alert so that you as a trader can go make the decision as to whether or not you would like to place a trade. And that's the whole point of this, is it's not going to do everything for you because, again, when it comes to trading, there's a lot of variables that go into it. You may have a different style of trading. You may, use a different time frame. The point here is to create, a scan that allows you to quickly go find possible setups in the market that you can then go use to your advantage. So again, we could go take a look at, here's like, for example, a lower time frame. We talked about Euro CHF. Here's, for example, before we go into Euro CHF, look where we currently are sitting. GBP JPY, beautiful uptrend, right? But the pullback isn't quite there. In fact, here was the signal right here. The signal was right at the bottom of that move, which looks beautiful in hindsight, of course. You can see that it printed oversold right there, and the moving averages were all lined up. That would have been a bullish signal a couple bars back here on GBP JPY. But currently it is sitting just bullish because there is no signal as of right now. The next thing I want to say is that the Euro CHF, you can see here, this is printing more of an interesting zone. You can see we've got the moving averages lining up, but you've also got a pullback here that is looking interesting to potentially be a buy signal. Again, you'll have to go take a look at everything to line everything up to see if you would actually like to take a trade, but this at least brings you to the point where you can see possible setups. And again, for the swing traders, it is also interesting because you've got, longer term analysis as well. Here's a daily chart showing that the euro against the Canadian looks fairly interesting to the short side, especially as it poked up here on the previous bars and produced a sell signal there on EuroCAD. Right? So the idea here overall is that this scanner is meant to find you the best possible setups in the market based on two main variables. You're looking for something that is strongly trending one direction, either up or down, And then it's also looking for a pullback using the RSI period that you assign it and looking for overbought or oversold. By the way, you can also adjust any of these things. So if you want to use maybe a 60 and a 40 or a 90 and a 10, whatever you would like to do, that is completely up to you to customize for your own use. For me, this has been really, really helpful just because it allows me to spend less time scanning through charts. Because if I didn't have this thing, I'd have to be going one by one and looking for setups and then keeping eyes on all of them. For me, this is much easier because I can just look at one thing at a time. You know, this is telling me that Euro GBP might be topping up and looking interesting. Euro CAD might be looking interesting on the daily chart. So again, built for all time frames, built to find best possible setups in the market for trend followers. So with that said, guys, if you would like access to this tool, if you would like to get a copy, there's a link down below in the description. You can sign up for it on our website. It is a one-time purchase, so you pay one time and you get access to it, and you can use it on as many computers or devices as you would like. So with that said, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoy the tool if you plan on getting it. And if you do, let me know in the comments how it is suiting you and what your favorite settings are. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you back in the next one.